it's interesting to me how many people are constantly in this mindset of go for two. With game on the line, go for two. We all, I think, want to witness an exciting play. And if it doesn't work out, we just turn off our TV and move on. We're not the one that has to deal with the fact that they lost. We got to see the exciting play. Oh, sorry, it didn't work out. Click. And I think that mindset takes over too often and oversimplifies when we get a touchdown in the final minute of a game and we decide we want to see the team that just scored go for two. 27 seconds left after this drive that you're seeing if you're watching on Peacock, and if you are, thank you. The drive culminates in a touchdown. They get down to the 1. Call a timeout, which I think is a factor in all this. 2 shots from the 1. They score. They opt to kick the extra point and make it 24-24 with 27 seconds left. 3 timeouts for the Kansas City Chiefs. And the criticism, Devin, was immediate, it was loud, and it was clear. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers should have gone for 2. In that moment, as this is unfolding, and there's the play that gets him down to the 1. As this is unfolding, Devin, are you thinking as a former longtime defensive player and part of a team that had the greatest coach of all time from a game day standpoint and other respects, were you thinking go for 2 or go for 1?
I was thinking go for 2, and I just believe there's certain guys you don't want to take a chance. But I also think this starts the week in preparation for the game. Maybe not to every player on the team, maybe only the coaches, maybe the no players. But I think you have to discuss, okay, if we get this team and we have a chance to go for the win in regulation, we're going for it. And I think if Bowles and Liam Cohen as the offensive coordinator, I think if they decide that, I think it's easier for Cohen to then go to Baker or maybe to some of the guys on offense. Hey, like when we get to this point in the game, if we get to this point, we're going for the win. Because I think of, I don't see it as clean because I played with Brady. I played with the guy that if I was on the other side, I would want to go for 2. But I think about 2022, we play against the Green Bay Packers, and we get to overtime, and the Packers and Aaron Rodgers, they get the ball first. We get a defensive stop. When we leave the field, my mentality was we have to go win the game. Now that we got to stop first, we just need to kick a field goal, but we got to go be aggressive as an offense and go win. When we punted the ball back, like it just wasn't the ideal situation. I'm not saying I'm sitting here like, oh, we're going to lose the game. But he made one play in the game. He throws an over route. Now they're in business. They said they set up, they kicked the game-winning field goal. And I think when you play against the Chiefs, yes, you'll get criticized if the 2-point conversion doesn't work. But I think in the back of everybody's mind, it's like, yeah, but would you rather base winning the game on the 2-point conversion or on the flip of a coin? And that, to me, is what you do. Once you go to the coin toss, I texted my friends as soon as they went to the coin toss and Baker and Mahomes were standing there. I was like, it just feels like Kansas City already won the game. Just looking at this coin toss, it just gives me the vibe they're about to go win. They win the coin toss, and Baker Mayfield, like, whatever you want to say, he goes, puts it like he knew the game was over as soon as they didn't get the ball. So to me, in that situation, analytics and all of that, the biggest factor is who's on the other side of the field. And those Mahomes and Reed, I'm going for 2.
Well, and this gets back to, I think, what the fundamental flaw in the entire approach was. And this is where I will criticize the Buccaneers. When Trey Palmer gets tackled at the 1 and there's 30 seconds-ish left, why are you calling timeout?
Yeah.
Why are you calling the timeout? Get to the ball and work the clock at that point. Spike it strategically. Get yourself to the point where you know you're going to have 2 or 3 shots at scoring from the 1, and you minimize the amount of time that Patrick Mahomes has left. Because here's my big counter. I have 2 points on why you don't go for 2 in that moment. One is something I learned from a head coach when the analytics stuff was taking over 5 or 6 years ago on, the percentages that are spit out of the machine, and the final answer is go for it or don't go for it. And it seems like the machine always says go for it, but that's a different issue altogether. How many goal line plays do you have that you like for this game? How many do you have against this defense, plays that you're going to run from the 2 or in that you like? Because you've just used 2 of them to score your touchdown. First one didn't work. Second one didn't. Do you have another one on the call sheet that you say, yeah, this is the one? I like this one. Well, if that's the one, it would have been the one you used on first down. And I think that's a very real factor in all this. I don't know that the Bucs thought about it, Devin, but I think that's a factor. How do you feel about the next play on the sheet to use in a goal line situation? Is there any merit to that from your perspective?
I think so, but I think every offensive coordinator has a couple 2-point plays that they like against a team. And I think in this situation, you didn't have to use any. And then I agree with the first part you said. If you rush to the ball and you either spike it, or because you rush to the ball, you still have your timeout left, you can kind of take your time, let the clock get to a point where, hey, we can QB sneak it. We can run the ball because we still have that timeout. That now, if we let the clock go down, maybe we let the clock go to, 10, 12 seconds, wherever you feel comfortable, that if you let the clock go down and we can still now throw the ball for the next 2 plays or 3 plays and still win the game if we don't get in. But at least if you let the clock go down to like 10 seconds and we QB sneak, if we do get in right away, all right, there's 10 seconds left, so then you can go for it. But then to me, it goes right to what you just said. It reduces the amount of plays you have to run in that situation. So now the play you end up scoring on, you could go and do that. And that to me is what hurt. And I was watching our teammate Maria Taylor was on the Manning cast, so I turned to that in the fourth quarter. And as soon as Peyton was saying, I jumped off the couch like, don't call timeout. Like, run to the ball. You have time now. The ball's all the way down to the 1-yard line. To me, that comes into the point of you have to have confidence as an offense. Once we get to the 1, we're gonna score. We're gonna run a play, maybe 2, 3 plays to get in. And I think of a situation we used to have in New England. We called it Rolex, to let the rest of the offense know, like, hey, we got the ball on the 1-yard line. Now it's about the clock. We're going to, kind of lollygag. We're going to QB sneak, but Tom's not going to run in. He's going to QB sneak, but he's going to stay behind the line. Then he's going to go down so time can go off. This wasn't like a true Rolex, but it's just a mentality of when we get to the 1-yard line, there's a plan of how we want to score. Not if, it's how exactly we want to score and what leaves us in the best situation to win the game. So I just thought they had time to let some of that time go off the clock, score, then go for 2. And now the game essentially is over. But then if you don't get the 2-point conversion, I think your whole team walks away saying, hey, we were all in for that. We were in for going for 2, the same way the Lions. That's why the Lions are still having success this year. As much as we all criticize Dan Campbell for going for it on all these 4th downs, not kicking field goals, their team was like, we love that. Like, we want to do that. And I think the Bucs and Bowles, I think they had a chance that if they go for 2, their whole team is like, no, we're all for that. That makes sense. We would do that any day of the week.
If you're out there on defense playing for Kansas City in that setting and you see what's unfolding, the touchdown is scored, what's your preference? And I guess it would change game to game, circumstance to circumstance, but just generally, what's your preference? Do I want to see them go for 1 or do I want to see them go for 2?
You don't really think about preference, but I think as you sit back, I would rather them go for 1. I think once you give up the touchdown, you're like, okay, they got us, like they tied the game up, but we didn't lose the game yet. So I think for a defense, you're saying, all right, we're going to get back to the sideline and regroup, and we have to go on the field again and get a full set of downs. Like, if I'm the Kansas City Chiefs, there's no doubt in my mind we're going to get a stop. If it comes down to one play, if they draw up a really good play against a defense that they know most of the time we run, in a 2-point play, or this is what we usually run inside the 5-yard line, and they get us with a good play, i.e. like when we played Philadelphia in Super Bowl 52, they run the Philly special on you, like some type of play like that Yes, you could have got a stop, but that's just a really good play call in a situation. I would rather get a full set of downs than it just come down to one play on the 2-yard line against some special play they might have drew up in practice that could be just a really good play against the defense.
I've still been holding back on my main reason for why I think they shouldn't have gone for 2. But before I articulate it, here's Todd Bowles, coach of the Bucs, from after the loss, explaining why they didn't go for 2 in that moment.
Very minor. We wanted to get it to overtime with the wet conditions on the field. We felt like we had to go into overtime instead of go for 2. So we had our shots. We lost the game. We went for 1. We took our shots. We had our chances all game. We just lost the game. It didn't come down to that.
Coach Reed, were you surprised Todd Bowles didn't go for 2 there at the end of regulation?
No. But I'm glad he didn't. Yeah.
That was one of those moments where I knew when I was setting up the throw that I was screwing it up. Bowles answered the question of whether they considered it or how much consideration they gave, and he said very minor. And you could tell from Andy Reid's reaction, well, it all worked out in the end, and they won the game in overtime because they won the coin toss. And even if they wouldn't have won the coin toss, they probably would have won the game. And this is what it comes back to. And I hate to be fatalistic as it relates to playing the Chiefs, but whatever happened, the Chiefs were going to win that game. You can't get into 24-23 with the Chiefs with 27 seconds left. There's no way out of the maze. Okay, you kick it. Well, then either Mahomes is going to drive down and give Harrison Butker a chance to win kick a game-winning field goal, or we're going to go to overtime. But if we go to overtime, you're going to win the coin toss, and you're not going to score a touchdown, and the Chiefs are going to score a touchdown or a field goal and win the game, or they're going to win the coin toss and go down the field and win the game. They're just you can't beat them in a closed space. You have to beat them by 10 points. It can't be close in that moment. And this is why I was a believer in not going for 2. Because if you go for 2, first of all, you go for 2 and you don't get it, obviously it's game over. You go for 2 and you get it. Patrick Mahomes has 27 seconds and 3 timeouts. And we've literally seen this movie before with less than half that amount of time. Down 3 to the Bills in the 2021 divisional round, that epic game. 13 seconds was all it took. 13 seconds. And the Chiefs tied the game and won it in overtime. They wouldn't have even had to do that here. The drive petered out, 4th and 1 on the 40, and the drive would have played out differently. Everything would have been different because it's no longer a luxury drive to win the game. It's a necessity drive to not lose the game. So am I going to bet against Patrick Mahomes in that setting? Am I betting against Mahomes with 27 seconds, 3 timeouts, and one of the best kickers in football to win the game? Am I going to bet against that? If I'm going to bet against that, you know what that means? That means I haven't been paying attention to the NFL since 2018. Because I'm not betting against Patrick Mahomes.
There's a lot of truth to that. But again, I think it goes back to the number one thing of the clock management at the end of the game.
Yes.
Because if you're locked in, you know who's on the other side. So you're like, we can't give them a chance to go score. And I don't know, I get it's 27 seconds left and all of that. But to me, you can't play against the Chiefs and only think about how not to lose the game. When you play the Chiefs, the reason why they keep winning is no one is prepared to go win the game. When you play the Chiefs, you have to go win the game. They force you to do everything right. Everything right. Buffalo Bills found out about that. Tampa found out. You had to get to the ball. You had to let more time go off and then go score and then draw up your best 2-point play. But to me, what you just said is the reason why you take your shot to go win. Because ultimately, I remember as a player, back before 2-point and all that was all an analytical thing, it was you don't go to overtime if you feel the team is better than you. If you feel like, hey, that's the better team on the other side of the field, then let's avoid overtime because overtime now allows them to show us why they're the better team. 2-point play is a 1-play game. If we can get the game to 1 point, 1 play, and get it to 7 seconds, 8 seconds left, and I say that as I lost a game, the Miami Miracle with 7 seconds left. So, again, nothing is absolute. It doesn't mean you're definitely going to win the game. But I think that would have gave them a chance to go win. But they would have had to go and take it from Kansas City. Not just think that Kansas City is not going to make the play or 2 plays to go win the game. And I felt like going to overtime allowed Kansas City to make the plays to go win. So, yes, there is this thing with Kansas City and they're winning games. But when you play in the National Football League, I don't care what a team has done the previous year, the 8 weeks before you play. Like, you believe you can go win. You believe you can beat that team. And I think Tampa had their moment to say, like, we're going to go beat the undefeated Chiefs. We're going to go to Kansas City, go to Arrowhead and beat them. And they didn't go grab it and take it. And that's even a situation I would have loved to see the players look at Bowles and be like, hey, let's go for 2. Let's do this right now. But again, if you don't do that, you're going to definitely lose.
I think I can sum it up like this. In the moment that they got the ball down to the 1, the mindset was, oh, shit, we might not lose. Sorry, London. Not, oh, wow, we got a chance to win. Because, exactly. We didn't expect this. Whoa, we need a timeout, not to conserve the clock, but to come to our senses because we have a chance to not lose. Like, we're surprised by this outcome. We're unable to process what to do next because we never expected to be on the 1-yard line. But, yeah, if you can engineer it, and this is where Belichick was so great, because he would have in that moment not given in to the, oh, crap, we have a chance to not lose, and understood we got to work the clock, because our best chance to win this game is to make a play when 15 isn't on the field. And we got a chance to make a play with 15 not on the field and win the game. And I'll take that chance because the flip side of it, with 15 on the field, we're not going to win. So I think the flaw was the reaction, the emotional reaction to call timeout when they got down to the 1-yard line. I think that's it. And as Bowles explained it, he's not even thinking about trying to grab the brass ring and go for the win. That's the problem. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.